Okay, so now we're going to use that sum formula in order to find the sine of 165 degrees. So they tell me over here that 165 degrees is the same as 135 degrees plus 30 degrees. So the first thing I would do to find sine of 165 degrees is I would rewrite it as sine of replacing the 165 with 135 plus 30. Now that I have it as the sine of a sum of two angles, I can apply the angle sum formula for sine. So sine of 135 cosine of 30 plus cosine of 135 sine of 30. And now I can evaluate these because 135 and 30 are both nice angles on my unit circle. So sine of 135 degrees, that's a reference angle of 45 degrees in quadrant 2. Sine is positive in quadrant 2, so that's going to be positive root 2 over 2. Cosine of 30 degrees, of course reference angle is 30 degrees on that. Cosine of 30 degrees is root 3 over 2. Next, I've got cosine of 135 degrees, so that's in quadrant 2. Cosine is negative in quadrant 2, so I'm going to go ahead and write down my negative. And the reference angle for 135 degrees is 45 degrees, so that would be root 2 over 2. And then sine of 30 degrees is 1/2. So now it's just a matter of multiplying and then adding. So I have to multiply these two fractions together. When you multiply fractions together, you just do numerator times numerator. So root 2 times root 3 is root 6. Denominator times denominator, so 2 times 2 is 4. Then multiplying these other two fractions together, again, numerator times numerator. Well, first of all, I've got a positive times a negative, so I know it's going to be negative. Then my numerators are root 2 times 1 is root 2. Denominator 2 times 2 is 4. So now I have to add fractions together, which means I do have to have the same denominator. And these two actually already have the same denominator, so I can go ahead and just write that down. And then do whatever it says with the numerators. So it says root 6 plus negative root 2. Now, I can't actually combine those because they're both irrational numbers, and we would have to evaluate the radicals before we could do that subtraction. So my final result would actually be just root 6 minus root 2 divided by 4.